You haven't got a corner on that one, there are bees all over it.
Yeah. Excuse me, ladies.
I have to invent a way of doing that comfortably.
You can get little wire things that extend out from the side of the hive and you can rest the frame on.
Yeah, we've seen that, yeah.
Why don't you try that?
I would.
It's a bit hard to spot a queen when they're all puffed up.
And when we shake them off, she quite often would fall off into the
That's
bottom.
right, yeah. And, you know, I prefer not to shake queens, but she'll be fine. As long as they're not shaking, don't shake it from a great height, you know.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can spot it.
So that spur that's on the bottom,
Just a bit of air pain there, if it comes off, you can get it off, but I'd just leave it there. And when you're looking for queens too, she's generally not going to be on a frame of sealed brood. There's no need for her to be there. So you're generally going to find her on a frame of
Whoops, the big cluster just fell off.
you find them on a frame of unsealed brood, you know. It's fine. There's eggs in there. See the nice pearly white larvae in there.
yeah.
And there's eggs through there. But that's a nice frame of brood. There's a beetle. Small hive beetle floating around. And, you know, once again, when you open a hive and there's literally hundreds of small hive beetles, you've got a problem.
So
We don't forget to put that trap in too.
he'll be herded by the...
Yeah, they'll move it along. You can see the chalk brood in there. There. So see how we go with that 4-foot board out? And that might help. Now's the time to sort of try and get it right. There's not much you can do about it. Keep going, eh? I think watch just with the smoker too, that if it doesn't get too hot, because that stuff will burn pretty quickly. You don't want to be blowing sparks out on them. Thanks for that. I always want a nice cool white smoke rather than burning their wings off. I'd look into one of those a lifter and a thing for the size. So you can hang a frame on and maybe just get a more confident grip on it. See that burr cone down there? That's because of the spacing. That bit of spacing is not quite right. We might clean that up. Take them off into the clothes.
Spots yet?
It's probably, on one of the frames that we've lifted out. This is.
Christine? Here she is.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful girl.
When I see a queen, something, got it, Rod? When I see one, I'm always keen to keep her safe, especially one of Frank's, because they are things of beauty. So I like to grab her in the little queen catcher
Mm-hmm.
and sit her aside. So she's safe there now.
Okay.
And those little queen catchers, you need a little bit of dexterity to use them, but they're great for keeping your queen safe, and I swear by them. If I'm looking through a hive and I see her, I grab her and just put her aside, and I don't have to worry about her then, you know.
Yep.
Especially when you got a good queen, you know. I don't mind squashing the odd one, but so we'll clean this little bit of burr comb up, and we can fix that end frame up as well.
Okay.
So we'll sit that there. See how they're onto her?
Yeah.
Looking after her. Get rid of this. You can be a little bit more cavalier when she's in that. Oh, there's a nice frame of open brood. So that's what beekeepers call wet brood.
Uh-huh.
So because you can see it's mostly all hatched.
Yep.
That's all hatched out, and she's gone and laid that up again.
Right.
And that's why we found her on that frame, because she's laying it up with eggs. So you won't find her on a fully sealed frame of brood. She's no need to be there. So
Has
yeah.
drones?
Yeah, in the burr comb, yeah, because all of this is worker foundation, they'll build drone comb in the burr comb, yeah. So that's a really nice frame of what they call wet brood. Eggs all around the side. So they tend to start in the middle and work around, and you can see eggs on the outside there. Very nice. And you've got the same that side. So that's a frame of wet brood. The smoker going? Yep. Good. Very nice. Honey, pollen, seal brood, wet brood. So you've got everything there from eggs to larvae. Very nice. Try and clean this up a bit for you. That frame back here. Just clean it up.
And that's just beeswax, is it?
That's wax, yeah.
So
yeah.
I could use that for waxing my threads.
Get that bit of wax off there. When you see Frank work his bees, he's always pushing them in. And that way you don't get that bit of build up on the lugs like that. That's the way you always want to have them. Have your space on the outside rather than on the inside. See those bees are flying up and hitting me?
Yep.
So that's a good sign that they're getting a little bit impatient with us. That's all good.
The ones on top rod.
So that's drone. They're drone cells there. Yeah, that's a very nice frame of brood. Pretty to look at. Yeah, pity about that bit of chalk there, but I think with the core flute out, we'll beat it. You want to pull the last one out, Rob?
Yep.
We'll scrape that bit of burr comb off the other one.
Oh, good.
Yeah, this one's got a bit going on, I think.
Yeah. That's right, we'll work it out. Just get it out enough that you can lift it. It might be heavy too, being that end comb, so just see how you feel when you lift it up. I can give you a hand anyway.
There's no finger grip in the middle.
No.
No, there's no finger space.
No.
Can you grab that in there?
It's quite heavy. You can probably feel it now. You want me to grab it?
Looks like lots of honey.
Yeah, you always find one comb in there be full of honey and pollen. Okay, so that's the case. There's a little bit of brood there. Plus, because the spacing's a bit wrong, it's full of honey and pollen. So we'll tidy it up a bit. See all the pollen there? Yeah.
Bright.
And there'll always be often that comb and that comb will have it, but they've just got this pack full, so we'll give it a bit of a clean up for you and try and get it back in a bit better shape. We get it packed in a bit tighter. Keeps hanging on in the garden.
No, don't worry about that.
Can't do much about it.
Minor details.
So that's a nice sealed frame of honey. And bit of pollen there, but you're always going to, with the spring management that I talk about, and I'll talk to you now about having 2 brood boxes, or 2 supers under the flow super. When they start getting congested, they run out of space for brood. Okay, so what you'd be doing is pulling this one out, and maybe this other M one, moving all the frames out and putting 2 empty frames in there for them to it gives them something to do, and they're building comb rather than thinking about swarming. Okay, and it gives them that little bit of extra space that they need. So this time of year, you'd be sort of wanting to do that.
So we've got frames there. Do you need them now to do
You've got
that?
another box?
No, we haven't.
No.
No, that's the thing. So, and you could do it a few ways. You could pull a couple of flow frames out and pull the frames up and replace them with just an empty frame like I do, or a frame with foundation in it. And that gives them that space. There's no sign there that they're going to swarm, but it mightn't be that way in a fortnight, because she's laying really well, that queen, and on every one of those frames there's 3,000 bees or something like that. So they're all hatching out all the time. Your colony's going to get bigger and bigger, and they're going to run out of space. So it's always good to have the way I run my flow hive is that I've got 2 supers and then the flow hive on top. So you can always be pulling that when they fill a brood chamber up with honey and pollen. You can pull them up, put an empty frame in, and they're building on it rather than.
So you just got a second brood box on, like that one. Just a copy of that one.
That's right. Yeah. And if you buy the flow ones, they're $40-50 each. And if you just go and get a normal one, which is the same thing, they're $20. So it just won't be the pretty red colour. But,
So do you ever harvest the honey from this?
Yeah, you could. I mean, that's got pollen in it, so you're not gonna do that. But when you pull them up, they'll take the pollen out and move it back down into the brood chamber and feed the bees with it. So they'll fill it up with honey, So you're always trying to cycle those frames. Those frames up.
Move these all across.
Move them all across. I'll put a bit of smoke on them. So they need to go back in the way they came. So this one was second in from the end, wasn't it?
Third.
Yeah, should be right there for the boy. So you can be, you've got the queen safe. You haven't got to worry about squashing. Just watch them between those end bars, and if you see one in there, just give them a little nudge and they'll move out of the way. We'll fix that up. We'll push them in. They'll be fine. Just move them all back, and we'll tie them up at the end.
What about dead bodies that I come up?
Which dead bodies?
I'm just here.
Oh yeah, they'll sort it out. That's the bee's job.
I think a funeral.
That's where you might just need a bit of help, right? With someone to, move those bees for you when you.
Should I clean this comb off?
Yeah, we can. We'll do that when you get it all back in place. Wax it. Put her over there where she's safe.
Oh, hang on. That's the second one, isn't it?
Okay. If your bee space is right, it sort of doesn't matter where they go. But if they're a bit crooked, then you've got to put them back sort of where they came from.
I wondered why you're particular about the order. It's just the way they fit.
It's just, and the brood's shaped a certain way. The brood it's like shaped like a big football type thing when you think about it.
Yeah.
So that's.
We're just taking slices of the
That's
football.
right. That's right. It's a bit like a what they call those PC bloody computers that slice you up.
Yeah, the X-ray imaging thing.
And MRIs, yeah. So you just push them all down, and getting them back in. So you push them down like that. You can hold your finger there, and just put that pressure on it, and get them all back in. So that way you don't get that burr cone, and you'll get a bit on the edges. but you want this all nice and tight. See how they're all, you want those a bit closer. It's going to be hard, we didn't clean that out, but that's okay. Just that little bit there, you might get a bit of burr coming through there. Yeah, have the space on the outside and have them all nice and tight. And that's something that you'll work out over time. So that looks good. Some bees on the outside here.
Liquid, aren't they?
Yeah, it's amazing. You can pick them up. You got gloves on. They will find their way in.
Yeah, on the back too, there's a whole lot.
Yeah, they'll find their way in. Give her a little push down and let her out. And have one last look at her. Where is she? She's there. Pink dot. A bit hard to see. There she is with a pink dot on. It's good to frank the marking for you. Makes it a lot easier.
It's a little bit longer, but she'd be hard to find without the dot.
Yeah, and it's a bit of an art to spot them, but when you're used to spotting them, they do stand out. But I took a little observation hive to a preschool up here the other day, and it was only, I just wanted to pull a frame out for the kids to look at, and a 10 frame hive, and I went through it 3 times before I found it. And it just, you know, and when you don't want to find them, they're on the first bloody frame you pull out, you know, or your squasher or something, you know. Murphy's Law, so just push them down. We'll give those tops a bit of a clean up, right? Without sort of squashing too many, just give it a bit of a scrape. It's quite solid wax. You can do that occasionally. It just tidies things up. They're going to put it back anyway, but
Won't they take notice of me? That, hey, this is the way I want
it? No, they do it the way they want it. So the bees flying off and hitting your hands.
Yeah.
You don't want to let them get too out of control. Probably enough, mate. Get that bit of bird came off. Right, well now we need to put this beetle trap in. If you think of it, get a little bit of lino or something. They work better with a little bit of lino just sat over the top of them. But it'll be fine the way it is.
How do you mean lino sat over the top of them?
The beetles like getting into a dark area where the bees can't get to them. So if you get a square of lino that'll just fit over the top, like a patch like that.
Yeah.
And it'll the beetles are more likely to go in under there, and then they fall there through the holes that way. But that's fine the way it is.
So does it have to be lino or something similar?
Something similar.
Waterproof, heavy?
Yep.
I've got clear plastic I could cut.
Yeah, don't need to do it today. It'll be fine.
Okay.
I mean, you have the beetles aren't bad. Touch that back on. Let's watch some bees. Nice and straight. I prefer the steel ones. These are the ones you get. I'll lift that back on for you, mate. Okay. Away in it. Yep. Nice and straight. Perfect. There's a little wooden bit. Must be what fell off.
No, that's just what Frank had on the top. We put a
It's
glass one on there.
Yeah.
It goes across here. Where'd that go?
Yeah, it's down here.
Oh, thanks.
Sorry.
Why did Frank put that on there, did he?
No,
He had the little piece of wood on there,
Yeah.
taped on there.
Pull that off.
it's glass. It'll.
Ventilation.
Okay.
So you don't mind them coming up into the...
They'll be fine.
They won't build comb up
They
under
can,
the
you
fan?
just got to keep an eye on them. Yeah,
Alright.
yeah. That'll just give them a bit, just with that chalk root, give
Yeah.
them a bit more ventilation.
Okay.
Just look under the lid every now and then and make sure they're not living up there.
Well, we'll look under there all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of bees on the bottom.
Yeah, that's just cappings and stuff that have come off.
Yeah. We've been vigilantly cleaning that off.
Yeah, no. So just put it away somewhere, mate. Well, maybe if it gets really cold and windy, you could put it back on.
Okay.
But yeah, they're designed to have the ventilated bottoms. And yeah, although sitting on those steel plates, it's sort of not that ventilated anyway. Yeah, they're designed to be fully ventilated. Yeah. That's okay. That'll give them a bit more air.
Good.
You happy with that?
Yeah.
Where's your lid? Okay. I'll get it, mate. You're right. Beautiful. So yeah, I'd keep an eye on those flow frames because I think they're going to fill them up pretty quick.
Yeah.
You'd expect that to, I'll be looking to.
We didn't think there'd be enough honey in there to harvest until Christmas.
No, I think you'll have honey in there in a month. Yeah. So yeah, I guess you just need to think about another super.
Yeah, I'll order one of those.
Yeah, so putting another super on it will slow down the honey production in the flow. But yeah, I think in the long term you're better off running 3 because you've got that option to pull brood out.
Yep.
At the moment, all you can do is you could pull a couple of flow frames out, pull that brood up and replace them with empty combs, and just in that springtime when you've got that swarming urge, when they fill up with honey, when they're capped, just uncap them in the kitchen and let the honey run out, and you don't need an extractor or anything like that. So you can do it that way, and that way you get a bit of wax as well. But they're not showing any signs of swarming, but it may not be the case in a fortnight or a month, because they can really get humming. And yeah, when they fill up with honey and brood, that's when they're looking to go.
But with the number.
For our registration.
Oh yeah, you need to write your reg number on there too. Yeah, so you go Kotuku for that tree.
Can you have a little number on it, like a little engraved part thing?
I just write on with a pen. I just write on with a Nico pen. What's your number?
I don't know.
Yeah, just write it on. That's all you got to do. It's strange. Yeah, I can sit and watch them. Sit there with a beer. They're well made. I mean, there's no way a bee will get out of there.
Yeah.
If you're on the side here, they'll go in when they're ready. See, I think when you can see the ends here, they're sort of full of honey, you can tend to assume that the inside is capped, But there's no substitute for looking in your beehive.
Yes, well, that's right. I've watched one video where a bloke showing, all of those look full.
Yeah.
But he said, look at that one closely. It's not capped.
No.
So they're still
Yeah.
ripening the honey, basically.
As long as they're 3/4 capped, you're pretty right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll be going through boxes and 9 frames will be 3/4 capped and one frame will be half capped one side and fully capped the other side. I just chuck it in. It all evens out in the end. But in general terms, it's 3/4 capped. That's right.
So what's the problem with leaving it on?
Leaving out, it just spreads disease. If there's any disease, the other bees get into it. It just spreads disease. And it encourages other bees to turn up and they might rob them. So yeah, it's just good practice to keep it tidied up.
bees trying to do things to it.
Yeah, they're getting honey off it.
Oh.
Yeah. And I just give my hive tool a bit of a wash. I just wash it up with the dishes, you know.
Yep.
Probably squashed that.
We ended up with 2 hive tools because that was the cheapest way to buy them.
Oh, fair enough. Well, you never know. You need another one. You lose it.
So if I got a second super, do I put that under the queen excluder or put it on top of the
Well,
queen excluder?
it's up to you. If you put it under the queen excluder, you'll get twice as much brood because she'll lay it up. There's no worries about it, you know. So it depends whether you want to run a single brood box or not. And you know, 2 brood boxes, you'll get a hell of a lot of bees. Yeah, so you'll be emptying those flow frames pretty quickly for two brood. But it's sort of.
But you mentioned out at your field day, you mentioned putting it on top, or no, it might have been Alan that mentioned putting it on top to draw the bees up through.
That's
because
right.
he was concerned that they might not.
You got your thing up and you got bees crawling all
He
over.
was concerned that they might not populate the.
That's generally how you pull bees through excluders. Pull brood above the excluder, and you'll pull them through because they'll go through. Sometimes an excluder is a bit of a barrier for a bee. They may not want to go through. If they're out of room, they'll go through anything. You know, that won't worry them. Or if they want to come out and sting the Jesus out of you, they'll go through an excluder. But yeah, that's the old beekeeper's trick to pull them through, is to put brood above the excluder up in the honey super. And
I think Alan was concerned that if you just whack the flow super on top, they may not readily go up and through there. So to draw them up there and attract them, put another box above it.
That's right. Yeah. And either way, you could do that.
That's not been a problem at the moment.
No, because they're strong. They'll go up there. They're strong and they need the room. Yeah.
They're designed to keep reproducing, so how do you stop them swarming? Because eventually they're going to get so big that they can't fit.
Well, that's what I mean. You've got to give them space. So pull that. This comb here would be the first one I'd pull out. That big fat honeycomb with pollen. That's the first one I'd pull up above the excluder and move everything out towards the walls and put empty frames. Put 2 empty frames, one here and one here, and that way they've got that space then. Yeah.
And what's your opinion of getting the 4-frame flow hive as the second?
Yeah, that's a good compromise, I think.
Because then you've got basically two regular frames.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah. No, I'd if you want to do that, that's a good compromise. Yeah. For me, because I've got plenty of supers, I just whack another super on. But if you want those extra flow frames, I think that's a good option. Yeah, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Just gives you that flexibility to pull that brood up out of the brood chamber. Because at the moment you've got nowhere to go. All you can do is pull them out, and then what do you do with them? You've got to pull flow frames out, which you don't want to do there. Or pull them if it's you'll never really get in the brood chamber. You'll never really get a comb that's fully capped with honey. It'll have a bit of honey and a bit of pollen and a bit of brood, and that's why you pull it up above the excluder, so everything will hatch out. Then they fill up with honey. Then you can take it out and do what you want with it. Make
sure you don't pull the queen up.
Well, yeah. That's where you'd shake all the bees off, and make sure she's not on there. The other thing you do is, if you don't want to shake them in the hive, just shake them onto the ground down there. They'll fly back. I do it all the time.
And they'll get through that metal mesh?
No.
They can't get through that?
No, it's that number 8 hardware cloth, the Yanks call it, and they won't get through it, no.
Okay.
No. So hopefully that gives them a little bit more ventilation now, and it might sort that chalk brood out. It's not something you need to worry about or something you can necessarily do anything about. Just ventilation. We've taken that hull, taken that cover over the lid. They haven't got ventilation in the roof. The Australian-made ones have got a ventilation thing in the front.
Maybe we should put a couple of bits of board on them so it's not sitting on that.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, just give them a little bit more air under the thing.
It's not sitting on at the back here. It's got space underneath.
Yeah, that's enough. They'll pull the air. They'll ventilate it. That's what they do.
Flat on the thing on the front one.
Yeah. Look, most beehives in Australia have got no ventilation in them at all. You can just have a solid bottom board and a solid lid, you know.
I think
Lou said he put ventilation in the holes and using the bees stop for that anyway.
They will. If they don't want it, they'll fill it up. Yeah. They'll decide what they want. Yeah. But I think it might help now with that short food. But no, they're fine. No sign they're going to swarm. No nasty diseases. Nice and strong.